Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this may find you. If this is your first time here, my name is Aimless. Welcome to my channel. It's nice to meet you. I hope you get something from this message, and with that, let's get into it. The message is, love everyone, but don't trust them. And this is a paradox. If you're like me and you're an empath, or maybe you're trying to get into this energy of loving everyone, what they call Christ consciousness, but you've been burned like I have. You've suffered betrayals. I've had a lot of time to reflect on this idea lately, this paradox of loving everyone but trusting no one. And it sounds harsh when you say it like that, doesn't it? And it's not meant to come across like that. I think we'll get into that. But in my reflections, I've seen the many times where I've been betrayed, and there's a very common thread. I've been too trusting. My discernment wasn't high enough. I just didn't see a person for the snake that they were. And throughout my life, I've seen this long trail of betrayals that are largely, if I'm being completely responsible, partially my fault, because I was trusting the wrong person, because I was leaning too much into that love everyone energy, that classic empath victimhood, I guess, of sometimes we project ourselves far too much into people that don't deserve it. And it can blind us as empaths because we can see this potential in other people, some of these snakes that may have betrayed you. So that message is probably for somebody. I've done this too. I have in the past I've realized in my reflections that I project too much of myself into other people. I see what they could do, what they could be, instead of accepting them for who they are. And so, love everyone, but don't trust them. It's a paradox. How can you love somebody but not trust them? It's a very strange kind of energy to get into. And one thing that I have found in a lot of my reflections is that the paradoxes are where the hardest lessons are learned. Because any paradox requires one thing in order to resolve it personally, within yourself. And that is to accept both sides of the paradox simultaneously, even if they're completely at odds with one another. You must accept the fact that you are capable of loving everyone and that you do love everyone. Or at least maybe you're trying to get there. Maybe you've been hurt and you're struggling to get back into that place. And if you're there, keep going. But you also have to accept that even if you love them, and these could be people that are very close to you, you can't let your guards all the way down. Or can you? It's a difficult place to be. If you're like me and you've suffered a lot of betrayals, your heart may be closing off. This capability to love everyone is being attacked by betrayal, by people who do not project. They see the surface level of you. They do not try to see your potential, what you could become, what you might be. That may not be for everybody, but for a lot of people, that's what the snakes tend to do, is to take you at the surface level of you. And if they see you as this trusting, loving person, well, they see that as weakness. And, well, if you got betrayed, maybe it is, but I don't see it that way. I just see it as a lesson to be learned. Finding that way to defend yourself and still accept that loving, maybe not fully openness, because there is lots of love in this world if you open your eyes to it. It can be seen everywhere. at the same time, you do have to protect yourself. So, let's see. There's one more thing here. If you're like me, and maybe you're in this state of isolation where you're reflecting upon all of your past betrayals, and you're starting to accept and come to realization that you were too trusting of the wrong people, that you thought that they were looking out for you, that they had your back, but they never did. If you're like me, you have to forgive yourself for being too trusting. You simply have to accept it and forgive yourself for being too trusting. That's the lesson. Otherwise, what will happen? Your light will just shut off. You'll beat yourself up. You'll never trust another person again. And I want to live in a world where I can trust somebody else, where I can openly love somebody and think that they definitely do have my back and they're not going to abandon me and shove me out into the cold. So, forgive yourself for yourself so that you can move on from betrayal, so that you can move on from the trust that you misplaced in the wrong people, so that you can move on from betrayal. I already said that. Yeah. So, at any rate, that's the lesson. And if you're still here, thank you. Please like and subscribe. And please get into that About section and throw some donations my way. I could really use them right now. And with that said, I love you all. And I hope that you have bright days ahead and that this year is going to be an amazing year for you. And I hope that you're surrounded by loved ones. And if you do, hug them, love them, and protect yourself. And be wary of those. Be wary of placing your trust in the wrong people. It's kind of a stark lesson and a stark message here, but it is what it is, and I accept that. So, goodbye. I love thee.